Siri, directions to Wolf's Glen.
Directions to Great Wolf Lodge.
No, Siri, Wolf's Glen Restaurant.
One option I see, Woods Garden Supply on Benedict Canyon.
Siri, Wolf's Glen Restaurant in Westwood.
One option I see, the Wolseley Restaurant in Burbank.
No, you're not listening. I said Wolf's Glen Restaurant in Westwood.
A wolf's den is a habitat that provides wolves with
Oh,
protection
you
from weather
stupid
and
fucking
predators.
idiot! It's Wolf's Glen Restaurant in Westwood!
One option I see, J. Wolf Clothing.
No, you fuck! Wolf's Glen Restaurant!
You're listening to League Podcast, Curbcast, Season 12, Episode 1, Atlanta. I'm Matt Durson.
Clay Inferno here.
Welcome back, Clay, for another season of Curbcast.
Sadly, the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. You may not have seen The Last of Us if we decide to revisit episodes we haven't covered after Curb is over, but this is supposedly the last season, season 12.
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, I kind of feel like if Larry woke up in a year and said, I got a few ideas, what would, what I mean? Would HBO just be like, all right, who knows, right? Or if you woke up in 2 years or 5 years and said, I've got an idea, would they just do another season? You know what I mean? Like,
or a movie, Curb Your Enthusiasm, the movie.
Maybe. Hope they don't do it like Sex in the City, which apparently wasn't very good.
But then Sex and the City came back with a whole new season, like a reboot thing. Kind of almost, but
reboot.
I heard through, and of course I can't source it, but that there is an end to this season, and I saw that Larry said that there's no way that he could come back.
Oh, really? Oh, all right. Well,
and of course, the Redditors and those kind of people are saying, like, maybe he dies at the end.
Who knows? I mean, I guess it's possible. As long as it's done funny, I'm not too worried about it. But did you see there was a commercial. I actually saw it watching True Detective. What the hell? Night Country.
Night Country. Check out clayinferno.substack.com for my thoughts on the first
Definitely
episode.
Check that out. But there's like a commercial where like an alien comes down and Larry is there and he takes his mask off and he's an alien underneath it and he's
like, how's my dog doing?
Yeah. So I think they're making jokes that it could be something like that, but who knows?
Well, kind of a stupid teaser, but we like stupid, so who cares?
Well, yeah, I mean, this guy he's Larry David, what do you expect?
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I felt like the, I'm not even we'll get there, but I felt like this episode was very loose. Like like they were like pretty much kept a lot of takes where the actors were just fucking laughing, or like, and like, Larry, when he's in the hotel room, is just kind of like, there's points where even for Curb Your Enthusiasm, I think Larry's like way over the top.
Yeah.
you know?
I also feel like there was stuff we will get there, but there was stuff that they like edited out, maybe, probably for time, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see how the season turns out, but it might be a different season. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's a little less just like, hey, we're just going to wrap this up. Because, I mean, I remember back in the day, like on Seinfeld, reading about Larry being very meticulous about everything, had to be done right and whatever. And maybe now he's just kind of like,
Because it's 12 seasons over the course of 23 years, or technically
right.
24 because it's being released now, but it was shot in 23. So it's just funny shit. Have you watched any of his like press junket stuff? I saw him on Seth Meyers. He was hilarious on there, I thought.
I saw him beating up Elmo or something,
I actually didn't see that part. I saw the other segment. But he was just like, he was just riffing with Seth that I thought that was funny, because Larry's like, oh yeah, I like being in New York. You're going to see SusieEssman tomorrow. And Seth goes, yeah, send her my regards. He's like, you want me to send her your regards? Like, why don't you call her? What? You have her number. You could call her. I'm not taking your friendship responsibility. You know, it's totally like a Curb thing.
That is, actually, there was a
little bit of that in the episode, but
this is my Seinfeld part. There'll be a couple more, but my first Seinfeld thing of the season is there was a time where there was like George had to give somebody regards, but she's like, I didn't say hello. Like, oh, you said hello? No, I just said send regards. Like, I didn't, like, there was like a difference between saying hello
and sending regards.
It was kind of funny. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it was like, it's not like I said hello. I just said send him my regards. So that cracked me up. But, yeah.
I wonder in a late night situation like that, especially with Seth, if they like sort of riff it out beforehand, because it didn't seem rehearsed, but you know, like the story like had a narrative that more so than, you know,
I wonder, or if that's just like comedians know, you know what I mean?
Comedians on couches,
right. Coffee. It's kind of just a thing where, oh, okay, like you started something and now I'm gonna go with it, and then you know, it's like
yes and kind of thing. And I mean, you know, it's not really similar, but I feel like it's just funny. Like I feel like Seth and Larry have like a certain kind of like a chemistry, like they have a similarity. I don't love Seth Meyers, but he's funny enough, you know. Like
sure.
If he gets, I always watch it when he has like a good comedian on, like you said, like Tina Fey or Amy Poehler or something that.
Yeah.
He's always really funny with them.
Well, I'm surprised Larry didn't go on Jimmy Kimmel, because let's segue. Jimmy Kimmel is on this episode. No, this is not his first time. He passed off his assistant, right? He foisted. It was the word they used. He foisted his assistant onto Larry a couple of seasons ago, and she was terrible. And but anyways, Kimmel's back, and
that's crew to take. Because wasn't that on the backstage of Kimmel?
That's right. Yeah. Right.
And yeah, Maria Sofia Estrada has become like this breakout star. And that's how it opens, with like a Hollywood montage. Yeah. Of her winning an Emmy. Everything for young
she
Larry.
Talks about during her speech, she's talking about how awesome she is and how much they love her. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, and they have her. She's on the cover of Vogue eating a taco, which I thought was kind of hilarious. I don't know, but yeah, and young Larry is a hit, and Maria Sofia is the breakout star, and she's on Kimmel. And he says, so, like, is there a lot of, you know, improvisation? And she's like, yeah, well, there's a script, but I come up with my own stuff, which is way better. It's like, what?
Yeah. But that's also like, no, but that's, you know, for us Curbcasters, like, that's how the show is written. That's how the show is written. Like, right, they have an idea of a scene, right. And then, you know, like, she's kind of like opening the kimono, if you will, about how the show is actually made.
But also, yeah, I don't think anyone would just say like, "Oh, my stuff is better," you know. I mean,
oh yeah, she is really. I gotta say, I want to say she's a fine actress, because I find her especially really fucking annoying in a certain way that I can't put my finger on, which means that she's doing a good job.
Well, she's supposed to be annoying. I mean, I think Kimmel says, like, so you don't have a problem with competence, which is like kind of the polite way of saying, like, you are arrogant.
Yeah, right.
And Larry's kind of just like clapping in the audience, and he's just kind of like he has to put up.
I was trying to put myself in the character Larry's shoes, like with Maria Sofia's like fame, because, well, I guess how he got there is kind of like, wasn't he sort of blackmailed into putting her,
he didn't want to cast her. Yeah, he had to blackmail into casting her. She had no real acting experience.
Yeah, but now that she's a star, like, you know, you gotta figure, like, if young Larry's doing really well and she's a part of it, like he does, I feel like he doesn't mind that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he might think that she's annoying personally, but he doesn't mind that young Larry's a hit show and that she's a reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he probably doesn't. He's probably just like, whatever. I mean, this is it. Here we are. This is the situation. So I'll just get through. I don't think he has to, like, well, we'll see later. He has to actually hang out with her. But like, for the most part, I don't think he minds that much.
But I wonder if maybe, if she wasn't this annoying character, like I feel like she sticks out on young Larry, which we haven't seen really anything.
Right.
But like, I feel like if she's an annoying character on the show in a really breakout sort of way, like maybe she's like the whole reason for the thing being successful, where you're like, you gotta watch that show because she is so weird.
She's like like the Sheldon or whatever, like an annoying character, but like you kind of just can't take your eyes off her. I don't know. Maybe we'll see some young Larry as the season goes on.
I'd love that, because and we'll get there with the glasses, but all we saw was sort of like the behind the scenes, the making the sets and stuff like that. We haven't seen like any part of the show really.
Right. So anyways, the next morning, Larry is sitting there, and Irma, we get Tracy Ullman back as Irma Kostrowski, and they're living together still. She's singing the J.G. Wentworth ditty.
That must be like a Cars for Kids thing, like from California.
I mean, I've definitely heard of it. I think it is more of because I actually looked it up on YouTube. So I'm like, is this a real thing? And it is. And once I heard it being sung, like once I heard the ditty, I was like, wait, I have heard this. I don't remember where, but it called J.G. Wentworth. Whatever. I need cash now. That's like the thing. Anyway, I also do that though sometimes. And as much as I hate commercials, I will sometimes sing like a good neighbor, like I'll just
yeah. I'm always like, I sometimes will be riding my bike and will do ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it, to some people that are having a good time. I'm not even kidding. I do that.
It's a good one. But anyway, she's like belting the tune out, and Larry's like, stop that, not in the house. And she's like, I can't stop. And that's the problem with ditties, right? You get them stuck in your head and you can't stop.
Yeah, he's just trying to have his cereal and do his crossword puzzle. It's like a Darson eating his cereal, reading a comic book.
Yeah. So he's basically had it with her, but they do this flashback to her sponsor telling him that there should be no major changes in her life, which could, because otherwise she could relapse, I guess. And he says, for at least 6 months. And Larry's like, 6 months?
Yeah, he said usually it's 90 days, but for Irma, it's got to be 6 months.
Oh my God.
And then as soon as she leaves, I'm just gonna jump to this part because it's so funny. Larry, when she leaves the house to go do whatever, he unlocks a drawer in the kitchen that has a calendar in it. You can see he has the key. And he's just Xing off the days.
Yeah, each day
is in the middle of November, and he's like, "Wow."
Yeah, it's got a long way to go, I think.
I love that he locks up the calendar, though. You know what I mean?
It's just one little.
And he just can't keep track of it in his head. Like, May 7th is the day.
Yeah, I guess it must make him feel better to actually cross off. But I do want to go back for a quick second, because she tells him when he goes by, he's going to the golf club, pick this up, and it's a little brace. She said, it's for my hammer toe.
Yeah, she's always got a bubble or hammer toe.
Right, but a hammer toe. I actually looked it up because I'm like, I know I've heard of it, but what is a hammer toe? It's just a curled toe. It's like in the middle joint. And like, it's also called mallet toe, because of wearing shoes that don't fit well can cause hammer toe or mallet toe. Other causes are foot injury and certain illnesses such as diabetes.
She's got a lot of problems she's got. And she goes, "Where's the oat milk?" And then they go through a whole thing about like almond milk. And I'm actually, the way you are with straws, I am with almond milk, because they do use too much water to make almonds. I agree with Irma on this one.
I think she's saying that the water is like infected with fungus or something like that, wasn't she? Didn't she say fungus or something?
Yeah, but in order to make 1 gallon, there's a drought in California. Well, they're having problems with rain right now, but there's basically a drought in California. 100 gallons of water for 1 gallon of almond milk. That's why I use oat milk.
Oh,
it's very wasteful. That's the first part of the thing.
Okay.
She does say those other things too. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, but yeah, I'm anti almond milk.
All right, look at you. I know, like,
even though I was stocking some this morning.
You stocked 100 gallons of water for each gallon of almond milk.
Thousands of gallons.
Well, I know, like, I just drink regular, like, milk. And I know we're the only mammals that do this, but whatever. I don't know. I grew up.
Well, I don't have a problem with that either. Well, I actually, I think it was like if you go to, like, I don't know, a lot of times, because I drink coffee, a lot of times regular milk or cream is the only option. I'm never going to be like, no, I'm not going to drink that. I always like, oh, whatever. Right. Just give me a regular coffee then. Right. I'm not opposed to it.
Well, yeah, Anyway, one thing I do want to, on a second viewing of this today, I noticed that there's like a bra on the table too. I don't know. I didn't notice if she like threw it there when she was telling him to get the hammer toe thing or whatever. But there's like, so like, I feel like his life is just being thrown upside down, living with Irma. But anyways, so now we go to, he gets in his car and he asks Siri for directions to the wolf lodge, right?
Yeah,
and it doesn't understand him, and he starts screaming, and he calls her a cunt, and everything.
And then it's like, when he calls her a cunt, it's like, a bunt cake is made in a bunt pan.
It's like, no!
He's getting so mad when all he needs to do is just type it in.
I know. I think it's just.
I'm actually, I'm a little weird. I don't use voice anything. I don't use Amazon Echo or Alexa. I don't use the Siri on my phone. I don't use voice to text. I don't do any of that. I don't like it. I'd rather just type it.
Yeah, most of the time. Occasionally I will use like Alexa play, Bruce Springsteen or whatever, but She heard me. Did you hear that?
So, yeah, you have one of those things?
Yeah, we have one. We don't use it for much. It's one of the little ones. It's not like the video screen. Rachel used it a lot to, like, set a timer for 10 minutes when she's cooking or whatever. But like, I
got an Echo Show, but I'm probably gonna give it to you to sell because we got a Ring doorbell for Christmas, and I think and I was like, well, I'm going to need the video screen so I can look at it. But I don't want it to do anything else but that. I just want it to be the doorbell. I don't want to ask it questions. I don't want it to show me facts. I don't want it to do anything. I want it to be like a landscape background. And then when someone's at the door, I want to look at the video screen like I'm in James Bond and know who's outside. That's all I want it to do.
You could probably program it to do that. I don't know, but anyway, that's just
you'll be getting it to list on eBay very soon.
That sounds fine with me. I'll do that happily. All right, so his next scene, he's at lunch with Jeff and Susie, and they talk about, and he's going to Atlanta. Larry's getting paid to go to Atlanta because this
public
rich
appearance fee
guy, an appearance fee. Yes, this rich guy is a big fan of young Larry. And he wants him to be at his birthday party and Maria Sophia. So he's like, I want it in there that I'm not going to do any, like, no stand up, no speeches. I'll be cordial. And Susie's like, do you even know how to be cordial? And he's like, I know how to be cordial.
He says, I don't think I can, but I'll try.
Yeah. They also make a joke. Now, I don't know if this is like inside or what. They make, Larry asked Jeff about his hair is brown, and he's like, "What's going on with this? Last week it was gray." So is this like a real life? I don't really know what Jeff Garlin's hair looks like in real life.
Yeah,
but
they
do you
could have
know?
done it for the show, but it's just
Yeah.
like, why did you? That's totally like a typical Curb joke. Just like,
Right.
yeah, like, what's going on with your hair? It's all of a sudden last week it was gray, now it's brown. And then he says something hilarious. He's like, I did this on my own. He's like, are you sure Lady Macbeth didn't have something to do?
He calls Susie Lady Macbeth.
It's
And
so
Susie gets very defensive. She's like, tell him you did it on your own, which leads me to believe that he did not do it on his own. But yeah,
Yeah,
Lady
right.
Macbeth is classic. All right, so like they've been waiting a long time for the food. They ask one of the servers, and they're like, excuse me, and we've been waiting a half hour. And she says, oh yes, very sorry. Your server Benny's very distracted. His mother passed away. And so he, 3 days ago. And they're like, 3 days ago, what's he doing coming to work? And then Larry's upset because he has to leave him a condolence tip now. Which
Yeah.
is fun. You gotta leave a condolence tip.
And it's like
So-
they're Curb style. Like you can't do anything about this. We can't complain. We can't
Yeah.
complain to the manager. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, death of the family. You can't. So anyway, then they see him come out with a tray of food, and they're like, "Oh, there he is!" And then someone stops him and says, Benny, we're so sorry for your loss." And he stops and talks to them, and like they're like, "What the fuck? I'm really, my soup's getting cold." Larry's really upset, and so Larry finally gets up, walks it over there, takes the tray. Says, "I'm very sorry for your
because
loss."
Benny is like stopped to talk to a whole table, and the girl's like
Yeah.
holding his hand.
Yeah, right.
It's obviously very sad,
Yeah.
but he's like, I'm sorry for your loss. And he takes the tray right out of his hand. Like,
I thought that was, by Larry's standards, that's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, he could have gone over there and yelled at the guy or something. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Larry's growth.
taking the tray is not bad by Larry's standards.
Larry's growth, as we talked about in the last season, I think.
Yeah, right. Anyways, all right. So he's at next scene is he's at the airport with Leon. So Leon is also going to Atlanta because his auntie Ray lives there. And if you remember way back to, was it season
The
7?
Blacks.
Yep.
The Blacks. Yeah.
Auntie Ray was back. We met her back then. So Larry's saying, "Oh, are you going to surprise her?" He's like, "Nah, no, man, you can't. You can't surprise old people." They say. But Leon keeps saying, "You know what I'm saying?" And Larry's like, "I know what you're saying. Stop asking me that. I mean, I know it's not that difficult."
Yeah, it's not science. And then Larry gives it back to him. He's like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah. I know what
Yeah,
I'm saying."
right. So then Larry butt dials him with his phone. He's like, "What is this? This is you?" And so then Leon has this great bit where he says sometimes he keeps his phone in his front pocket and he dick dials people.
Yeah. It's like one time I ordered a pizza.
Yeah. I sometimes I hear my dick dialing the number. It's crazy. I love it. Miss Leon so much.
Leon's the best.
So Maria Sophia shows up. She's got her emotional support dog, Pachuca. Do you know what Pachuca is? Do you know?
No
I
idea.
looked this up on Urban Dictionary. Pachuca, one of the definitions anyway on Urban Dictionary, was a term referring to a rude and unimaginative person who gains high praise among fools.
Ah.
So that's Pachuca.
And she's walking through the airport and taking selfies with people, and they're kind of like ready to board themselves. And she's
Right.
like cutting it kind of close. And she's like, the plane won't leave without me.
I know. Like she's that important. The plane won't leave without her. So she's got a dog, and Leon says the dog is too fat, and they're going to charge her $200 extra. And she says, "Don't fat shame my dog." And Larry's like, "They don't know." And then Leon says, "Yeah, I'll show you." And he goes, "Hey, you fat fuck!" Like he just
You need to have self-awareness to
right
Dog
to
doesn't
Pachuca's
know.
face. Yeah, like you don't know. But also, yeah, it's her emotional support animal. And Larry's like, that is such bullshit. If you're that like emotionally unstable. You shouldn't be on the plane. Just kind of,
Yeah, right.
That is definitely probably how, I don't want to say Larry David in real life feels about it, but just definitely someone probably said that, because that is weird. I mean, these emotional support animals.
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on.
It's
You don't
like,
even need.
without discounting people that might actually really need it for whatever reason. I'm sure 95% of it's bullshit.
Right. No, of course. There are definitely a few people who need it. Obviously, Maria Sophia is not one of them, but like you can buy one of those vests on Amazon. You don't need like a doctor's note or anything. You just get on the plane and say, no, it's my emotional support animal.
I think they do check it at the airport, though. You have to
really?
get certified. It's kind of like a medical marijuana card. Like, you can't just be like, I bought this vest on Amazon, you know?
I mean, no, I don't think you can tell them that, but I don't think they're allowed to ask what what kind of emotional support or what your need might be, like, or what your affliction might be. They're not allowed, I don't think, to ask that. So you could probably say anything. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just saying. It's weird. All right, so they go, they're in the hotel. Larry's in the hotel. This really cracked me up. I love it. He's just brushing his teeth. The housekeeper comes in and she kind of rolls her eyes.
And she's like, I'll come back.
Yeah, and Larry's like,
come back.
What? I think this is typical hotel room. Yeah, there's some socks and, underwear around. I mean, I don't have to clean up. I'm not home.
What I was saying earlier about either the editing or they use the first take or something is like Larry's like cracking himself up and is way over the top with it.
You're
like,
probably right.
This is always a hotel. This is always what you do in a hotel. You're not home. Like, she doesn't want to hear any of that.
Well, and then he says, I'm very good to housekeepers. There will be a tip. So that's his key. Like, he tells her there will be a tip in here at the end of his stay.
Chekhov's tip.
Yeah. So she just leaves. So they go to Auntie Ray's. And it's so weird. So him and Maria Sophia and Leon, I guess, is already there. We didn't get to see that, but they both have
because
a
he's
bottle
staying
of
there
wine.
and they're staying in the hotel.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So they both have a bottle of wine. And I love Auntie Ray's so funny. She's like, oh, I'm so glad. Oh, you brought wine too. Oh, that's nice. She totally blows off Larry's wine.
Yeah.
And then when she's like, we're going to serve your wine at lunch, honey. She loves Maria Sophia. And then they're looking at pictures of Leon, and this is my favorite line. I'm sure you like this one too. He says, I got a 4.0 APA, ass point average.
Yeah. I was a valedictorian of tapping ass.
Yeah.
And Auntie Ray is just like, she's just like, oh, Leon.
So anyways, they sit down because she's like, have some hors d'oeuvres. And Larry's like, these look disgusting. And it looks like came out of a can or something. It really does.
It just looks inedible.
Yeah. And then Maria Sophia comes over and just takes his glasses off and walks away and puts them on Auntie Ray. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then she's like, oh, fine. She takes the glasses. She gives the glasses back to him. And they don't fit on his head anymore. They fall right off. And he's like,
stretched him out.
Yeah, you stretched them out. He's like, your big head. She's like, I don't have a big head. And I love he says, dare I say freakish?
Yeah, and this is what really annoys me about Maria Sophia. Is like, I've known people that would do stuff like that and not think that it's a big deal. But that would be the ultimate, you cross the line if somebody did that to me. I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't just take I don't freak out, but I would freak out if somebody did that. And then and maybe her reaction where she's just like, what's a big deal? You know.
No, she doesn't care at all. That is exactly her reaction. Yes, what's the big deal? And that is awful. I mean, I don't wear glasses yet. I suppose, here, I'm almost 50 years old. But that's almost like someone just taking your eyes out. You know what I mean? Leon.
Well, yeah, it's really a
shit.
Keep your hands to yourself kind of thing. You know,
yeah.
If you went up to if you went up to a girl and fucking took her glasses off, you would fucking get smacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
fucking that really, like, you know, of all the emotions that a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode can evoke, I was fucking pissed. I was so mad.
I mean, it is crazy. Yeah, like just the balls on that chick and just like, yeah, the awareness, like,
and it reminded me of all the
awareness at all.
times when, like, Cheryl would be like, what's the big deal? I mean, like, Cheryl wouldn't do that, but, like,
Right.
she'd be like, just, you know, it's not a big deal, Larry.
Larry,
Like, it
yeah,
is
just-
a big
just
deal.
Well, he's like, I'm in Atlanta. I can't get another pair of glasses. You know, and so Auntie Ray lends him a pair of her glasses, and they're these like typical old lady like glasses with the points like on the side.
Yeah, because they have like this. She's like, well, I could see with yours. She's like, so I think we have the same prescription.
That's
He's like,
right.
oh, all right.
That's
But yeah, he rocks those the rest of the episode, most of it.
Yeah. So meanwhile, then Pachuca jumps up on the couch and sits on Leon's jacket. And he says, "Get your fat ass off my jacket," which just cracks me up.
So good.
But anyway, so they go back to the hotel. I love people like looking at him in the elevator and everything because he's wearing the old lady glasses. So here we go. This is a big moment. We talked about this in email. So he's trying to fix the glasses. He thinks he's got them nice and tight. He's got one of those little glass repair kits. He puts them on his head and they seem to stick. He goes over to take a whiz. He lifts up the toilet seat, puts his head down, and they fall right in. And
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, they're in the toilet. Ugh. We had a discussion now. You said you thought of me.
I
Yeah,
thought
like,
of
I
you.
don't-
This is because I just know, and I posted the meme on our Instagram where I tagged, you know, I put a little caption. I said that Larry was you, and that I was Jeff. And I don't know how Jeff would react in this situation, but I definitely know that the two of us would deal with the situation in a very different manner.
Yeah. I mean, well, again, like you said, I don't wear glasses, and I don't think the importance of them is
No, but like
it's a little different.
anything in the toilet, I guess,
Right,
you know,
anything.
your phone or something like that. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because
No, I live
mostly
in fear that
mostly
my phone
phones
will
are
one day-
waterproof now. You know, like
No, it's not.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying,
Right.
like, replace glasses with your phone, because most phones, like, you can submerge them in water and they'll be fine. You know, like, it didn't used to be
Well,
like that.
Water is one thing. Toilet water is completely separate. So I know what you're saying. Right. It would
Yeah.
The phone would work. It would function. Because back in the day, if you dropped it in the toilet, you might as well not fish it out because it's not going to work.
Yeah,
probably.
because it would be fried. But now they
Right.
built in, you know, after
Right.
years of us all having smartphones, so they realize that, like, some people use them in the shower or whatever. You know
Oh
what I
my
mean?
God. Yeah.
But
So I
yeah,
don't know.
so I
mean, it
just.
was ugh.
Well, let's talk about Larry. Let's just talk about Larry. So Larry goes out in the same maid. He's like,
Same-
hypothetically,
Lidea, I think is her name. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a very, like, he says something really weird trying to compliment her name. But
yeah, he's like, that's a very substantial foreign name.
substantial. That's right.
But he's like, hypothetically, if a guest were to drop their glasses in the toilet, would you expect the guest to get them out? A person who's never reached his hand in the toilet his entire life? Or maybe would you get it because you seem to have gloves and the equipment and the plan?
Yeah.
I like that he says that, and a plan.
And you'd be desensitized, I think is what he says.
Yeah, desensitized.
Whereas the guest has never stuck his hand in the toilet.
Yeah, the
ever.
guest has never stuck his
Yeah.
hand in the toilet ever.
So she is not having it, and she's
She's like, I have work to do. Yeah,
It's
like, and then
no,
she
I just
she pulls out two like rubber gloves and throws them at him.
yeah.
like,
She says,
you
you
get it."
do it. Yeah. He calls her a fabriciner. Do you? I don't know.
I didn't look it up, so you tell me.
It's Yiddish, of course, because Larry. It just means a mean, sullen person.
Okay.
Fabriciner.
Yeah.
Apparently, there is like a feminine. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you call it fabricina. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but there is like a male and female versions of fabriciner. But it's a mean, sullen person. So. All right, so anyway, we go to the fan's house, the birthday
party.
Wait.
We're not done talking about the toilet.
All right. I mean,
so I already, you don't even have to go into it. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, you're shit out of luck. Like, you don't have a phone, you don't have your glasses or whatever it is that fell in there. I guess I'm a little desensitized. Yeah. Maybe get the gloves out. I would get those glasses out of there and then fucking clean them off, sanitize them, go nuts.
I mean, you'd have to do all that. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, I guess if I were in their shoes, you would do it. You have to get them out of the toilet. But then I put them on my face. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, one thing, I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything. What it would be like. What? I don't know. They just go right on your face. It wasn't.
But you've cleaned them off and sanitized them.
Well, here's the other thing. What if there was something in the toilet? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a different story. Okay. That's a different. It seemed to. Okay, so like maybe. I'm not gonna talk about the gross toilet stuff for forever. Like, maybe like, let's consider that, the toilet is relatively clean. Maybe Larry peed earlier but flushed it, and it's just clear water in the toilet.
Right, that's what I mean.
It seems like, yeah, it's just a clear water because they do the Huey Lewis I want a new drug like camera up from the toilet bowl with the glasses and Larry's disconcerted face, which I could definitely see that would be your face. I could transpose that face there very easily. I just think that all I'm saying is my reaction would be a little bit more like, that sucks. I'm going to get it out of there. And maybe I'm a total slob and I disgust you. I don't know. I just know that we would definitely, as people, deal with that situation very differently. That's all I was saying on eBay. Yeah.
I mean, I realize that I'm the one with the problem. Most people would just have to take the glasses out and live with them. Clean them off. There are probably people out there who wouldn't even clean them off. Take them out of the toilet, put them right on, and walk out. But I hate to keep bringing this up. So do you remember there was a Seinfeld with what's her name? Charlotte from Sex and the City, who played the woman. Jerry accidentally knocked her toothbrush into the toilet, and then he went to wash his hands vigorously because he had to reach in and get it out. And they used that same Huey Lewis camera shot. He reach in, get out of her toilet, he threw it on the sink, and he was vigorously washing his hands. And then he looked up, and she was brushing her teeth with it before he had a chance to tell her.
Oh, I picture him making a very Seinfeld, like, he wants to tell her, like, face. I think I remember that.
Yeah, he made that kind of scrunched up kind of like face. So then he couldn't kiss her. And here it is, it's beautiful. And then she's like, and he's like, I can't, I have a cold. Or whatever. And then so when she found out that he had dropped something in the toilet of hers, she put something of his in the toilet and he didn't know what it was. And he threw out like all of his stuff. So
it's so funny because I guess it's like whatever, like there's tons of stuff that they're not exactly rehashed, or maybe they're just themes, but they're very much like Seinfeld to Curb ratio kind of things that happen like again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, it's 30 years later. Right. You know what I mean? So who cares?
Yeah, they're not exactly rehashing, but it is there are themes. Yeah, using similar themes. So.
Basically, you know what Larry's phobias are.
That's right. So, all right, are we done with the toilet?
We're done with toilet talk.
All right. All right, so they show up at the house of the fan of young Larry, and it is
Michael Fouché.
It's Michael Fouché is his name, yes, and it's
Who
played
says
by
that he's African.
Yeah. So I wonder, I mean, maybe we didn't need this scene, but it almost seems like would it have flowed better if there was a scene where maybe you didn't see his face, but he said he was from Africa or something. Maybe they mentioned it when they were at lunch. I don't remember.
They did. They mentioned it when he was at lunch because he goes, he's this African guy that Jeff's explaining the situation to Larry and Susie. Like he's an African guy. He's super rich. He loves young Larry. He just wants, them to come out. And do that thing. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll set up before.
He's this white guy. And I don't know if you know that Charlton Copley is the actor here. Have you ever seen District 9?
I did, but I've never seen Chappie or any of those other things.
I never saw Chappie either. But he was also in one of my favorite underground movies, Free Fire. So I go read my Substack about that, substack.com/Darson. But he's very funny in that. And I always got to confuse this Bryce Darby, even though I know they're not from the same country. Charlton Copley is from South Africa. So when he says he's African, he means South African. But Larry and Leon are like, what the hell is it? You don't say you're from Africa.
Larry is totally doing the this is my friend Leon Black.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And he's all cool. He's like, hey, what's up, Leon? It's fine. But yeah, it's funny. He wants it all to be known. But I love it. You don't tell people you're from Africa or from South Africa.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then Leon just says, where's the fucking food at? They doesn't care about any of this other stuff. So he says, oh, there's a buffet. And blah, blah, blah. He's like, instead of saying say no more, I don't know if he said say less. Then he just
he's like, it's the buffet's out on the back outside. Help yourself. He's like, say less, and he walks away.
Less. So Michael wants to introduce Larry to everybody at the party. He's like, I want you to be our friends. I think you'd really get along with Brookie. And he's like, Brookie's busy. So Larry says something about, all right, well, why would people say, oh, I'd like someone. They're always disappointed. I feel like it'd be a disappointment to Brookie. And he says, well, she's Brooke. He's like, we just called her Brookie. He's like, well, close friends call her Brookie. And he's like, well, all right. So meanwhile, Larry, he said he would be cordial, right?
Yeah, he's mixing and mingling, and he's talking to this one particular lady, and she's telling the most boring story about the grocery store. And then you got to figure, even fictional Larry, I don't think he fucking goes to the grocery store. You know what I mean? He doesn't. He doesn't have to do that himself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's like, and I was trying to even figure out what she was talking about. She's like, and they don't separate the green bags from the clear bags at the grocery store. And he's totally just mocking her. Oh, and he's like, the green bag and the clear bag.
Yeah, the green bag. Yeah, and and then so whoever, Tiffany took her mascara or whatever, they were
yeah, and he's just fucking trying. If that's him trying to be cordial, he's not doing a very good job. But it's like he's trying. It's like he's trying. Almost.
Yeah, it's just not it. It's just he just can't. You know what I mean? They can't do it, and
then he sees some other old lady with similar old lady glasses on, and they give each other kind of the Larry look. They're looking at each other oh.
Yeah.
They haven't done that wasn't exactly a Larry look, the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they haven't done that in a while, but it was close. It was 1/4 of a Larry look.
It's usually kind of reserved for when he thinks someone is lying, and he's trying to
that's right. And he's look, he looks at their face real
try
close.
To see if they can read it. But hopefully we get more of those this season. This is something that Leon, this is something that I thought would come back. later in the episode. It turns out it did not. But he eats there's like a dessert table. And he walks over and he's eating this ginormous piece of cake. And then he looks around and it's his birthday, it says Michael's
Yeah, he
birthday.
realizes it's like there's a big spread of desserts, and he goes right to the most glorious one and cuts himself a slice out of it, and then he realizes it's the birthday cake for the party, which I'm sure they're gonna sing happy birthday or whatever.
Right.
And he what does he do? He puts it back.
He puts it back with like his bite like on the inside, so you can't really see it, and he just kind of mushes all the frosting back on top of it or whatever.
It's so great.
Oh, I really thought that would come back to bite him, and it really didn't. It was just a fun little joke that just to show you what Leon was doing.
Yeah,
I guess,
Leon's
during the
always
party.
like getting the food, crew to take.
Yeah, who to take? So, Larry is taking a selfie with a woman, and then he's like, you never look as good in pictures as you think, or whatever. Like, this was on the trailer. I don't know. If
Yeah,
you saw
he says, you never look as good in a picture as you do when you look in the mirror, because like that's how you see yourself. But then the picture is how you actually
are seen.
Yeah, how you're seen. And then Leon's just like, well, that's deep.
Yeah, he's like, that's deep.
I'm gonna go, and then they have the funny thing where he goes, I wonder if like a black person going back to Africa is like a Jew going to Israel.
That's right. They make a pact.
Yeah, they're gonna go on a trip. He's gonna go to the Conga, and then we'll go to Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And then Leon's like, I'll tap yours, you tap mine.
I know, it's great.
I imagine like if in the world of the show, if you were Leon and Larry's just like, paying for like all Larry's just gonna pay for them to go to Africa on a nice vacation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
It's awesome.
Right on. I love it. So he's going to get some more food or whatever, and he comes across Brookie or Brooke or whatever, and she's like, "Oh well, hey, how are you?" And he's like, "Oh great, I was told, I should talk to you or whatever." And he calls her Brookie, and she's like, "Well, it's Brooke." And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to figure out this Brookie Brooke, controversy here or whatever, or the rule." He calls it the rule, and she's like, "There's no rule. My name is Brooke."
But my close friends call me Brookie, but you can call me Brooke, basically.
Yeah. And then this guy comes over, and his name is Carl, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then,
Brookie.
they chat. Yeah. And Larry, after she leaves, Larry's like, "Hey, so are you close friends?" And he's like, "Well, we met once at a dinner party a couple months ago." And he's like, "You met once, huh? And you haven't seen her since then?" He's like, No. Like, but you can call her Brookie.
And then he's like, was anyone else here at this party at that dinner party? And he goes, yeah. And then you're waiting for Larry to do some investigation with whoever else was there. He's like, Brookie was there.
Brooke, yeah.
So he's
Brookie
like,
was there. So he's gonna get to the bottom of it, and I love this. He goes over to Brooke again, and he asks her about Carl and whatever, and she said, "Well, Carl's a great guy." And he's like, "No, he's not."
I met Carl. He's not a great guy.
He's not really a great guy. Well, that just cracks me up. He's not a great guy. Like, I mean, what a great thing to say about someone. Like, no, he's not great. But
yeah,
the point
I met
is
Carl.
that,
he's not great.
Yeah, I met Carl. We talked. He's not a great guy. The point of it is, yeah, like he's allowed to call her Brookie, and Larry is not. And Larry's just, I feel like he's just trying to get her to admit that. You know what I mean? I don't think he cares. He doesn't want to know Brooke. He doesn't want to be close enough with her.
And because
but he wants to know why. He wants her to admit that there's a double standard or something.
Well, I watched the show like a couple times, and there's like subtleties actually in the script or the dialogue where Larry gets Larry, and then they have a whole discussion. He's like, I don't have a Larry rule. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Do you want me to call you Larry? He's like, no, I don't have a rule. I don't have a rule.
It's just funny. Yeah, like if you're in the Larry David of the show's head, like he's just trying to. He doesn't care, but he doesn't like this sort of weird anomaly.
Now it's preoccupying him, and then Michael Fouché has Maria Sophia and like a couple of his friends around. It's Michael Fouché's birthday party. He's paying for the everything, and he's like, Lair, come over here. We're gonna take a selfie. And he's like, I can't right now. I can't right now because he wants to go figure this thing out. Yeah, which is so funny.
Yeah,
which will come back later about him being cordial.
Yeah, it does come back later. So they're there at the end of the night. They're leaving, and he's talking to Michael. And Larry's just like, "Yep." So that's it. They shake hands a couple times.
Did it.
Yep.
Yeah, he just I couldn't figure that part out. Like he's just so proud of himself, and
I think he wants the check. He's just he wants Michael to pay him for his fee. His appearance.
Yeah, but it's not like they would pay him right then.
I don't know. That seems like Larry was. I feel like that's what Larry was waiting for.
That's what Jeff's for. Jeff's the manager. He's gonna get the check wired.
He's not
gonna. Yeah, that Larry doesn't collect checks.
Well, I feel like he was hoping that would be, he would get his money and that would be the end of their business. But anyway, so we go back. Maria Sophia is in the hotel with Pachuca, and Larry's walking down the hall, and Pachuca just runs at him and slobbers all over his pants. And Larry's like, "Oh, that's gross." And she's like, "Well, you were in the way." Like, in the way, he wasn't like she. What was the dog? Where was the dog going? I love that.
Yeah. This is also like something that this is like a toilet thing for me. Like when I go to I like cats and dogs, right? I'm not a monster, right? But I'm highly allergic to them.
Right.
And the worst part is when I go to people that are the closest to me. Stacy's mom has a big slobbering dog and a tiny dog and cats. And then I go to my sister's house. They have big slobbering dogs. And basically, I call it... Do you remember there was a movie called Silkwood?
Yeah, I remember.
From the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I think someone gets exposed to radiation and they go in the shower and like scrub themselves down. When I get home from both of those places where people that I love are around, and I love the dogs. I pet them. They're on my lap. They're fucking getting drool all over my pants.
Yeah.
Like I take what I call a Silkwood shower. As soon as I get home, I strip down. I put all of my clothes that have dog hair and dander and slobber all over them. I put them in a separate laundry bag, and I scrub all of the dog mess off of me. So when Larry is in there, like, washing his pants from the dog slobber, I very much sympathize with that.
Well, yeah. First, he's like, "Oh, I gotta go clean my pants," and I love it. Maria Sophia says, "Well, they were basic anyway. Like, no sympathy, no like, I'm sorry."
Well, she's the worst because she's like taking like, I don't know, she's on TikTok live or something.
Right.
She's
or
like here I am. Yeah. She's like, I'm in a nice hotel, and actually, it is a nice hotel because it's like, that's where Larry David's staying. You know what I mean? It's not like a Hilton. It's like the Ritz-Carlton or something, right? So she's like, here I'm in a fancy hotel, like doing her influencer thing, She's really living it up.
So I mean, it's a nice hotel, but anyway, so Larry goes in and he's cleaning his pants at the bathroom sink. He obviously took everything out of his pockets because there's money on the sink, you know, the vanity, or I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
So he's scrubbing his pants down. And then he takes like the hair dryer that most hotels or a lot of hotels have like on the wall, and he starts drying the the moisture that he caused on his pants, and he blows a $10 bill into the toilet. Doesn't notice, but he dries the pants, feels good about it, walks out of the bathroom. So
let's talk about tip coordination for a second.
Okay.
I want to talk about
right.
I want to talk about the $10 in the tip, because we'll get there with what happens with the housekeeper like in the next scene. But I think that comedians in cars getting coffee when Seinfeld is out with Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's like, okay, what's 18%? You know what I mean? She's figuring out like what a regular person would tip,
right?
But maybe even 20%. And he's like, you can't do that. You have to leave. They're going to be talking about this like forever. Like, you can't leave just like a regular. She's got her mom like change purse out, is gonna leave like coins. It's like,
right.
You gotta leave like a good tip. You gotta leave a good tip.
Because you're Sarah Jessica Parker, right? You can't leave a normal person.
And just because, like, I think that she's a mom and she doesn't really, she's got more important things to think about. She's like, yeah, I didn't really think about that. Like, that's a very sweet little scene there.
I remember that one. Yeah. I mean, she's not trying to screw someone on.
No. She's just like, what do you do? I'm just going to leave, 20%.
Right.
Or,
but
you can't leave.
Jerry is right, though. She would be judged forever.
Right. Yeah. And, but anyways, so like when.
So you think, let me ask, you think he was only going to leave it $10?
No. That's my point. So earlier in the episode, and this is why it's germane to doing this before the we'll get there, like earlier in the episode when he says, I'm a good tipper, I leave
nothing to do with it. Right.
I'm gonna leave, I'm a good hotel guest, like I'm gonna leave a generous tip. I feel like Ritz-Carlton, also it's a personal appearance fee, so he's probably getting like, who knows, actually.
They just said a lot of money. They didn't say how much. What do you get? 15,000, 20,000?
I was gonna say somewhere like a Larry David, somewhere between 10 and 25K.
Okay, all right. That's pretty good. I was close.
And if you were like, let's say you're Gary Vee and you're doing speaking, like you're like they're doing the same thing, but you're like doing a convention basically. That's like 100K. But if you're just good, you're doing a personal appearance,
just
speaking thing. Let's say 25K. So Larry.
Right.
Even being, I don't know, he's never like stingy. He's leaving a condolence tip or whatever. I feel like he was going to leave that, even though he was fucking fighting with this housekeeper, I feel like he was going to leave like 100. You know what I
probably.
mean?
Just
so
like, because now, he told her.
Because I'm a good tipper. Or maybe.
Well, he is a good tipper. And also he told her there would be a tip. He has to.
And when I go to a hotel, I'm like $5 a night, even if they don't.
Yeah, I can see
even if they don't come in, because I'm always like, don't fucking come in my room. I put the thing out, and as soon as I go in, the first thing I do in a hotel room is take the "do not come in here" for housekeeping thing and put it on the other side of the door, and then I bust I do it all myself. I put all the towels and.
Well, I usually want like more towels than what they give you, so I'll let them come in for that.
I do everything. Yeah. I take the fucking trash out. I do it all.
Oh,
yeah. I don't take the trash out, but I consolidate all the trash because I make a fucking mess.
All right. Yeah.
So if there's like 2 or 3 trash cans, I put it all into one bag, and I take it out and I tie it up and I throw it in the corner. I throw my robe and the towels like it on the tile in the bathroom in one consolidated place. Like I don't leave it all a big mess in there. I probably go a little overboard because I don't know why, but I'm just very I don't expect other people to do that. In the John Hodgman way, where like don't make other work for
Right.
other people, which
Mindful of the work you leave for others.
yeah,
Yes.
which I try to do, and mostly because of your consternations about when if we go out to eat somewhere. But mostly I'm I'm pretty good at it. Since
You are obviously. Well, I mean, okay. Most of the time, if you go to a restaurant that doesn't have busboys or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I will not leave my tray
like a tasty
burger or something. Yeah, like you didn't even have a server. You had to you go up to the counter and order.
Yeah,
that bothers me, and I will never just leave a tray on the table. You have to.
But they do. But from working in places like that, they do send someone out to clear all the trays for people that do leave it
because they have to. You know what I mean? Not because they want to or it's their job.
I 100% see to your point and try to be better about that. But yeah, I think, that I probably was just like, oh, who cares?
Right. And I'm not mad at people. I just won't do it. But I have to say this, like, I haven't stayed in a hotel in a while. Rachel and I usually do like an Airbnb deal.
Right.
When we travel. So it's kind of changed the, things a little bit.
But there's a whole towel situation going on there. There's still kind of this hotel, I don't know if you'd say protocol, but the same kinds of things. Like they're like, here's your fresh towels. And
it's getting a little, we've had a couple of experiences not that they were bad, but they weren't necessarily great. We might just go back to hotels. Like we were talking about this recently. We were like, maybe we should just stay in a hotel next time. Like it's been a while since we stayed in a hotel, except like at Disney and stuff. But like, yeah, it's kind of like, the Airbnb experience is getting a little too much of like there was one where they expected us to do all the laundry. I was like, what? No, you do it. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
there was laundry in there and they were like, you need to clean your towels.
Like throw it all in the washer when you're done. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, you have to do something.
They also, that Airbnb too, they want to be like, oh, they didn't do that, so we're going to charge them the post booking cleaning fee.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I get it, but like a hotel wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I'm a slob and I don't want to leave the place a mess, but I mean,
no,
in general,
of course not. I'm sure Rachel would murder you if you try to leave the place a mess anyway. So.
Oh yeah, she would murder me. She would. I mean, she could. But she's too nice. All right. So, anyways.
So, yeah. So, I just wanted to get the tip coordination thing out of the way that I for the record, I don't think that, and it's germane to you describing the next scene, there's no way he would have left only $10. No way.
Right. But I think he just happened to have that $10 bill there. It blew into the toilet. And like, as probably Larry, he just didn't notice. He didn't even probably notice that he didn't have the $10 bill.
Yeah, because he was going down to breakfast or whatever.
Right. He probably if I were Larry, and I think Larry would do that. Like, I wouldn't wear those pants, even though he scrubbed them clean. You could wear another pair of pants. You're not going to wear them again. So
right.
Anyway. Sorry, yeah, he goes down to breakfast. He asks one of the hotel staff, "Oh, where's a restaurant?" And he says, "Oh, well, it'd be easier if I just show you." Rather than, he's like, "Well, just point me in the right direction. I can find it." And he's like, "No, I think I'll just walk with you," which is the most awkward thing.
It is. It's so awkward, and he's really like nothing weird happens with him and the guy, except for that I immediately have been in that situation before. And then I want to just talk to my buddies or something, but now we have like an escort, and it's like, we got this fucking escort now. Like, it didn't really want. I specifically said I don't want an escort, but now we're being escorted.
Right. It's just one of those curb things that happens, and it does happen in real life too. And you're like, well, at least I think, oh, this is like a Larry David moment.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, now I got, because most of the time it's like, or be like out with a band or whatever and be like, well, I want to shoot the shit with my homeboys here. And like, now we got you fucking I'm dealing with you. I don't want to deal with you. But Larry comes across the that
the
whatever her
housekeeper's
name is.
picture, Legalia.
Yeah, she's the employee of the month.
Yeah. And Larry's like, you got to be kidding me. And he says, oh, well, she's been here 6 years. It's her last month. So Larry thinks that explains why she's such a farbissiner, because she's leaving anyway. So, like,
and then we were
who cares?
we were talking earlier about, you know, whatever kind of jobs we've had and stuff. And like, can you tell me you haven't had a big fuck it? Like when you're leaving a job,
Right.
you know?
Oh,
Fuck
exactly.
it.
Exactly. So that's what Larry thinks, you know, why she's so surly. He's like, oh, well, that explains it. So anyway, then he gets a phone call from Jeff. And yes, as you discussed, Michael is not paying Larry's appearance fee. And Larry's like, whoa, what? That's bullshit. I was cordial. So he says, I know where his office is. I'm going to go to his office. So here's the part that I have to ask you what you think. He goes to the office. He walks in. There's a receptionist sitting out there. And he says, good to see you again.
Yeah, classic move.
Do you think he says that just so he can get in?
Yeah,
Is that what he's
that's
doing? Okay.
that's usually, even like, there's a couple of WeWorks downtown where, like, even though you're like can be there and you have a badge that gets you through the little thing, like, you still have to sign in. Like most office buildings post 9/11, like, you have to do some sort of sign in or check in and make sure it's okay with the security guard. And there's a little bit of, maybe if the security guard isn't paying attention, or depending on the building, you could just do what Larry did. But mostly you do have to check in.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it makes sense now. I thought, like,
I always
get edited here or what?
Well,
But
I
it
thought
makes
you
sense.
want to talk about a weird editing thing. It's like, it's almost like the phone call with Jeff seemed like oh, we forgot to film that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
and he's like, I'm gonna go get my money, and Jeff's like, you do that.
Yeah.
It was just
kinda
like a weird. It was just, I mean,
whatever. Yeah.
funny, but like still like kind of
Right.
like, oh, they just inserted that in there.
Yeah, maybe. I'd have to watch it again. But anyway, yeah, that makes sense. So Larry's just trying to fool the security guard and thinking, oh, I was here, or I've been here. But anyways, so he goes into Michael's office, and Michael says, well, you know, frankly, I'm not going to pay you because I don't think you held up your end of the bargain. You weren't cordial. And they start to discuss, you know, Larry says he was cordial. He says, is this Brookie? Is this because of the Brookie? And he's like, well, no, but he says, also, if a young woman wants to be called Brooke, you call her Brooke, or whatever, like, call her by her name. So he's on the side of Brooke.
Yeah.
So Michael says he wants to do it the African way. This is how we ended apartheid, with this Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC. And Larry's like, well, I mean, and he says, all right, you have a seat. And just as we were talking, like, yeah, sit down. And he's like, okay, I'll sit down here. Yeah, I'll sit down here. And Michael says, I'll be Desmond Tutu. He's like, well, you're Desmond Tutu? I'm the one who was wronged. I mean, he said, well, we can't have, he says, like, we can't have two tutus.
Yeah, we can't have two. Yeah, they both say it too. Yeah, we can't have two tutus.
Yes. Like, we can't have two tutus. He says, all right, you'll be Desmond Tutu.
He's like, yeah, I'll be Frank. He's like, no, you want to be Tutu, you be Tutu.
You be. So he asked Larry if he feels he was cordial, and Larry says he feels he did his best as a person who hates people and had to be among them, which is also on the trailer. But it's classic. I mean, it's Larry. It's classic Larry. It's not a surprise to anyone. But Michael thinks it's great that he can admit that.
Yeah, because he says
he's a terrible person,
and that he has a bad vibe.
Yeah, right.
And Larry's like, I've
ruined
ruined every party I've ever been to. He's like, I'm a person and I don't like me.
That's right. And I think if you probably went back through 11 seasons, he'd probably have ruined every party he's been to. I don't want to be the one to do all that research, but
I think so.
I bet he has. Yeah. So anyways, he says he is going to pay him. Michael says, I feel warmth. I feel a warmth. And he's like, yeah, You do, huh? He's like, well, I don't really
I
think,
don't.
I don't really feel like it's warmth, but he's happy he's getting paid. So, and Michael asked him to sign his shirt for his son. This is kind of another thing they did on Seinfeld. Larry's like, oh, was it that young lad I was talking to there? He's like, oh, yes, big fan, big fan. He's like, your son, and he's like,
Yeah.
What? He's like, yeah, your son, Trent. He's like, Simon. He's like, oh, yeah, Simon. That's what I said. And they definitely, George Costanza did that a couple times on Seinfeld.
I was trying to like freeze frame it, but that's like a young Larry shirt, which has like a picture, like a kind of a cartoony, like young Sheldon kind of like younger looking, like cartoony. Hopefully they show the logo and we see some of the young Larry on
that would
the
be
show.
awesome. That would be amazing. But yeah, I love it. Like, so usually whenever George Costanza did that, like it didn't work out. People were like, oh, you don't know my name or whatever. Like he's like, oh yeah, the Proofman. Like I remember specifically the episode where when he was engaged to Susan and she didn't have her birth control. This was the sponge one that Elaine was obsessed with sponges. And he's like, get me some birth control. And he's like, well, what? No. And she's like, you don't know what I use, do you? And he's like, yeah, you use the Proofman. Like, and it never worked for George.
Sponge-worthy.
Yeah, but it worked for Larry. Like it works. He just goes, yeah, Simon. Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, yeah, Simon.
All it's forgiven. So meanwhile, Lydia shows up in Larry's room. She's cleaning Larry's room. She sees the $10 bill in the toilet, and she thinks that's how he is tipping her.
Right, because he promised that he would leave a tip, and he said, you will find a tip in this hotel room. So it really seems like that he did it on purpose.
Right. I mean, I guess you can't fault her for thinking that, right? Because number one, he did say there will be a tip. And number two, he asked her about the toilet thing and if she was okay with fishing stuff out of the toilet.
Right.
So, yeah, you can't blame her for this, but she just says, like, I'll show him, basically. And she takes his suitcase and she starts throwing his stuff off the balcony, screaming, like, I'm going out with a bang.
Yeah, I'm going out with the bang. And that's Larry's walking back from the address, from the office.
Yeah, and he's like,
what are you doing?
He says, you're a maniac, or something like that. He calls her a maniac. But, yeah, that's pretty hilarious. So anyways, they're about to check out. It looks like Larry is on the phone with Michael. He's getting paid. And he's talking about like,
and he's being so fake Larry. I'd love to
I'd love to get on a Zoom with that young man, you know. Simon is such a give my best to Simon. So anyways, then he's like, he gets up for a second, but he leaves his phone there on like the couch thing. And Maria Sophia says, you getting paid? And he says, am I getting paid? Well, I am, but let me tell you. And he starts trash talking Michael again. Meanwhile, Pachuca butt dials Michael. And so he hears everything that Larry is saying. But my favorite thing he says is when he's talking about his son, he says, that kid is a potato.
Yeah. Now I have to do a Zoom call with his son. That kid's a potato. He probably has to buy a building just to get that kid into a college.
So he realizes that Michael has heard everything, and he's like, hello? And Michael says, goodbye, Larry. He says, goodbye. So now he's not getting paid. Actually, Michael actually ripped up the check.
Yeah, I feel like also they've done it a couple times earlier, like Larry picks up the phone, like sheepishly says, hello.
Yeah.
When probably a normal person would just hang up. But... Right.
Is he trying to salvage, like, something out of it? I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You should just forget. You should just hang up.
Hello. This is Bon Larry.
Anyway, so they're on their way to the airport, but Larry has to stop and return Auntie Ray's glasses. Now, he is wearing his regular glasses now. So either he went to like a lens crafters or something, or he fished them out of the toilet. And I assume...
Well, he definitely fished them out of the toilet, but whether they were fixed or not will TBD.
TBD, indeed. So he's like, I gotta return her glasses. Now earlier on she'd been wearing a voting pin like on her chest there, and she says it's a very important vote. Now remember they are in Atlanta, and if you know the news, that is it's very important. So they see her in line. They say it's really hot. She's been there for 2.5 hours, and she's like, "Oh, I'm dying out here." And Larry's like, "Oh, you're dying. Oh, I got some water in the car." He goes to the car, gets her a bottle of water, gives it to her, and I love it. She makes
well, the dog growls at him, and he's like, "Shut up, fatty."
Shut up. Yeah, I think you're right. He does. Shut up, fatty. So Auntie Ray makes like a big deal about it. "Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much." And then 2 cops show up, and they say, "Sir, put your hands in the air. You in the blazer," which is why he always wears like a jacket, even though it's like supposedly like 95 degrees out there.
Yeah.
And they say, "You're under arrest. It is illegal in Georgia to give food or water to voters in line."
Now I'm curious. Did you know about this law? I did.
Yeah, I did. I remember reading about this and how stupid. What the hell does it mean? Like, why?
It was for voter suppression in the 2020 election because they were just like,
I know.
What,
But I mean,
what
how
way
can
we
you
can? How can we suppress
how can we even
specifically the
justify-
black
like, there is
vote
no-
in Georgia?
I know, but it's so fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
It happens. I mean,
How can anybody enforce this and think that this is an okay thing? But I mean, whatever.
Dickheads in charge.
Well, yeah, speaking of dickheads, so like Larry is arrested, dragged away, and they show his mugshot, and it is the mugshot. It is like an almost perfect recreation of the Donald Trump mugshot.
Yeah, because I actually noticed that when they're the Uber's like or the driver, is like pulling in, like one of the signs says like Fulton County.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
like where Fulton County, where Trump was arraigned, and also just like you get the whole like it's Atlanta, it's Georgia, but like that you don't find out till the end of the episode they're specifically in Fulton County,
right?
And like that's it.
I mean, they
That's
could
the
have
place.
gone to anywhere. They picked Atlanta. The writers picked Atlanta obviously for this reason. So, the mugshot is perfect though. They even like made his face kind of red. You know what I mean? I mean, Larry's kind of pale.
Yeah, it's like
the guy who
it's
lives in
like
California.
orange, like
But
makeup
yeah, it's
kind of
really
thing.
very bright orange and everything. And he's got that scowl on his face. Really, the only difference is the hair because Larry's bald. But
Perfect.
God, it was a perfect recreation. So, that's how it goes.
We're back, season 12, episode
Well, I
1.
want to. Do you watch like the next time, or do you bother?
I
with
did.
that?
I did.
Okay. Good. 'Cause
I
it
don't
looks
know
like
my normal my normal protocol. I usually watch. I guess I think maybe my protocol is I don't watch it for What We Do in the Shadows, but maybe I do for this one. But yeah, I definitely.
Well,
watch
yeah,
this.
it's different. Like if you watch What We Do in the Shadows on TV, it's pretty easy to do. But if you watch it like streaming, it's different. It's a different kind of thing. So, but here, yeah, they if you watch the credits, they have a quick thing of next week. It looks like he's still in jail, talking to a guy.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he's at a party, and Leon is there, and it looks like he's with Brookie. Did you notice that? Like, there's a quick shot.
It looks. I think that basically, he's like in jail for X amount of time, and then I don't want. Well, I did watch. This is public knowledge because they showed a little clip of, the Morning Joe. I was watching the Morning Joe, the actual Morning Joe, and Larry and Susie were on there, and one of the anchors, who I forget his name, but one of the anchors makes one of those cameos where they're actually being a news anchor. They play themselves, and so in some episode coming up, the Morning Joe people are like interviewing Larry like as if he's on the news, And I think it's about this whole thing where he brings the water. I think it becomes like a national news story.
Oh, really?
And that's
that could...
and they showed a clip of it, so I'm not just like, and I'm speculating as to the story arc there. But what I think is he's released from jail, and those people are praising him because he's like standing up to this stupid law, and then it becomes like a big news story. So I think that's the context there where they, because he's still in Atlanta, he gets released from jail, and then they like throw him a barbecue or whatever. Like
they were talking about how inspiring he is.
Yeah, he's a saint and whatever. Yeah. And he's like, no, this has gone a little bit too much or whatever.
Yeah. So, but did you see? It looked like Brooke. Do you think so? It looks like we'll see Brooke again.
Well, I think because they're
Brookie.
Because it's people in Atlanta. It's like
right.
Right. Yeah, they're friends down there.
But it looked like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it. It looked like
she was there. Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
there.
But she was next to Leon, so I wouldn't be surprised if he taps that ass or something, as he would say.
I see what you're saying. I didn't really care that Brookie was there, but that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know. I thought it was a big deal. I don't know why. I just thought it.
No, you're totally right. I just didn't pick up on the tapping.
I mean, I don't know. I'm reading the tea leaves here.
I'm reading the tea leaves too, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe they're interviewing him about something else.
I think you're probably right about that, but we'll see. Yeah, interesting though. I mean, I don't know where their season's gonna go. Obviously, this is gonna be a lot. We got Irma, we got Maria Sophia, and young Larry. We got this Atlanta, Fulton County thing here. I mean,
I think we'll see like a lot of cameos of like, people important to the show over the, we'll see a lot of cameos.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see Lewis, and I think
definitely.
I read something about TedDanson and Cheryl obviously on it. So.
Ted and Cheryl are in the trailer.
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So I'm sure we'll see. And we saw Vince Vaughn as well, I think, in the trailer.
And Eugene Levy and Sean Hayes, I think, play like a married couple. That was in the trailer.
Oh yes.
I don't think they're playing themselves. I think they're playing like a married couple because he says something about their semen, how you decide their last name of their child or something. And they're like, what? What did he say?
Well, Larry wants to know these things.
Yeah, he wants to know.
Legit.
We all want to know. Larry is us.
We want to know, but we're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Larry is not. So, all right. We can wrap on season 12, episode 1, Atlanta.
We're back, baby.
We're back. Go back and listen to all of our previous Curbcasts if you like. I think they're fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, something we've never really talked about is like maybe, we can get into it like later on this season. Like I remember I didn't have HBO, but I was in a band and I was like, you end up like staying late drinking at my friend's house and they had HBO and they went to bed and I'm on the couch and I'm like, oh sweet, they have HBO. I'm going to watch a Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like that's how I really got into it. It was like, just been like, it's been part of our lives for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It's
season 12.
23 years pretty much. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, yeah, when I first got HBO, I was like, oh sweet, because I really like 6 Feet Under, but I was like, oh my god, I can watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, and I remember we talked about this last season or maybe a couple seasons ago or whatever, but like the girl who plays Jeff and Susie's daughter has been the same actress the whole time. She was a little kid. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You don't think about it really. You know what I mean? Or I don't. Like, this is a show that has been around for this long.
or you could easily replace her as they went along.
Right,
But
you could.
this is
I
more
think they
like
were
that
just-
that Ethan Hawke movie Boyhood or whatever.
Right.
You know what I
Maybe
mean?
they were just like, yeah, let's put her, let's put her in there again,
Yeah, it's different seeing old people just get older, but when you see like,
Right.
someone grow up, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. I know. So, yeah, it'd be great to see what they do, but I don't know. Well, there's a lot. They got a lot of possibilities, a lot of balls in the air. So,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the rest of the season. And yeah, bummer if it is the last one, but we had a good run.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, listen to all of our Curbcasts. Listen to our What We Do in the Shadows Vampire Council podcast. And of course, LeaguePodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Where we also just have the regular League podcast, League
Movies
versus
and
movies.
more.
Yep.
Begets. All the
one of those.
all the
So-
fun things.
We got a lot of James Bond, a lot of stuff on there. So yeah, check it out. League
Been
Podcast.
doing this for a while. We're not as long as Curb, but almost.
Yeah. Longer than a lot of other shows.
Yeah, that's right. So
All right. So yeah, thanks for listening, Clay. Thanks to you. And we'll
Thanks.
see you guys later.
I just gotta go fish some stuff out of the toilet.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Exactly, man.
Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
No, you know what I mean?